Hey everyone, I'm Julia and we're continuing the series of tutorials on JetFormBuilder plugin. In today's video, we're going to create a form for front-end post submission, set the necessary post submit actions, and then dynamically display the post data. As always, if you're new to our channel, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Guys, this video will be a long one. I did my best to explain everything really thoroughly, so I will appreciate your likes and comments. And now, let's get to this. First of all, let's figure out what we might need for this tutorial. I gotta say that there are quite a few things you need to be installed and set up. For example, except for the JetFormBuilder, of course, we also need the JetEngine plugin and the Profile Builder module. Starting with the JetFormBuilder. This plugin will be used for creating a form, setting up post-submit actions, for example, sending email notification, also adding reCAPTCHA, and so on. However, how will you be able to, for example, allow users select tags and categories, or where the data entered by the user in a form will be stored? This is why we also need the JetEngine plugin along with the created CPT, custom meta fields, and taxonomies. And to make sure that the users can easily navigate to their account, view the posts, submit the new ones, and edit them, we also need to enable the Profile Builder module. Guys, please don't worry. If it's the first time you're using these plugins and modules, or you don't remember how to set up some things, we already have a lot of topics covered on our channel. So you will find all the links in the description down below on everything I'm gonna mention later in this video. And now I'm gonna proceed to my website. Basically, it's a self-service ticketing platform that allows anyone to create, share, find and attend different events. And the form I'm gonna be creating today will be actually for submitting events. Although you can use the same approach for adding product, post, ad, or services. The only difference will be, of course, how your form fields will be named and whether you use product, CCT, or CPT. First of all, let's go to the website dashboard and proceed to JetEngine, post types. Here I created a CPT event, and as you can see, there is also event in my dashboard. This is the place where all the submitted events will appear. So you created a CPT. The next thing is meta fields. Why are they needed? Your form will be created with fields, and some of the form fields will be the same as your CPT meta fields. Here is what I added for the event. For example, time, date, location where the event will take place, who is the organizer, price, and so on. Add the necessary ones, or you can create more fields later as well. And before we move on to the next step, please make sure that in the advanced settings, certain features for a current post type are chosen. For example, title, thumbnail, and of course, custom fields. If you haven't used the CPT and meta fields before and you need them to be created from scratch, I highly suggest you watch the following tutorials. As always, the links will be available under this video. Okay, two more things before we start creating a form. I also added a couple of taxonomies. If you don't know, taxonomy is a way of grouping the post into certain categories. So basically what I did is I added some categories, for example, event category. Let's open it. As you can see, this taxonomy is linked to the events post type. And if I proceed to the events, event category, you will see a list of available ones. What this tab gives us is, first of all, the users will be able to choose categories and tags for their posts. The post will be grouped, and that leads to the last but not least taxonomy feature. The post can be easily filtered with the help of taxonomies. By the way, if you need more information on how to work with the taxonomy, please take a look at this video. Alright, and the last thing is of course Profile Builder. To enable this module, proceed to the JetEngine dashboard, find the Profile Builder in the default modules and enable it. After the Profile Builder module was activated, you're free to operate with it and set it up according to your needs. However, to save your time and energy, JetEngine gives you an opportunity to import the pre-made configurations and modify them. Without leaving this page, proceed to the Skins Manager, unfold the presets. There will be two options: a user profile with editable content and editable user settings page for user profile. I'm gonna import the first one since I'm gonna be working with the posts only. What these presets do is they automatically add the necessary pages and templates. So right now you can check, for example, your pages, and you will see that an account page was created. And if you proceed to the templates, there will be new templates depending on what presets you've chosen to import. Since I imported only user profile with editable content, I have three templates: user post, add post, and edit post. Moreover, you will get a listing user post item that will be used for displaying the submitted posts. Lastly, let's open Profile Builder. First of all, make sure that you have account selected as an account page. Also, you can enable users page and a single user page if needed. Click on the next tab, Account Page. Here you need to add the subpages to the account page and select the templates for them. But I will not stop here since we have this covered in a very detailed video by WP Tuts. The only thing I will mention here is that add post and edit post subpages are not needed in the account menu panel, so they are hidden from the menu. Instead, I will have a link for adding new posts, or in my case events, right in the heading. And as for the edit post, there will be a dynamic link in the user post item listing. Keep in mind that these settings are not for the account page itself. This is more about what structure the account page will have. Since everything is enabled and set up, let's create a form. Go to JetFormBuilder and click on Add New. First of all, let's add a title to our form. Then there will be some default fields, but we don't really need them. Let's leave only this hidden one. A bit later, I'll tell you why it is needed. So what blocks can you use for creating your form? Click on Add Block button, start typing field, and you will see the whole list of available ones. In my form, I will use mainly heading, text field block, select field, radio, date and time, text area, even the WYSIWYG one, and action button field for the submit button. I'm gonna start with the heading. The top part of a form will contain a basic information about the event. Guys, don't worry that it doesn't look like a proper heading. We will style it a bit later. The next one, text field for the title of the event. And then the same text field, however, this one will be for the organizer. I'm gonna set its label, and at this point, it doesn't really matter what form field name you enter. However, to not get confused later, I suggest you use the names of your meta fields or taxonomies. For example, organizer is one of my CPT meta fields, so I will use organizer for the form field name. And now I will add 2 columns and place select field into each column. For these 2 fields, I will use event category and type of event taxonomies. In the field options from instead of manual input, I will select terms and then specify the taxonomy. For example, the first one will be type of event. On the front end, the user will be able to select one of the categories. As for the next one, I will do the same. Set it to terms, and of course, choose a different taxonomy. So the second field will be for the event category, and don't forget to set labels and form field names according to the fields. Let's move on to the next one. The middle part of a form will have the fields considering the place, a date and time of the event. So there will be a new heading that says location and time. First of all, I will add one more select field. This time it will be for the format, whether it's an online event or in person. In the field options from, I will select again terms, and the taxonomy this time will be format. By the way, your form field label and the form field name can differ, and it's absolutely fine. The next field here will be a simple text one for location. So basically the user will be able to insert the exact address where the event will take place. I'm gonna fill in the label, and of course its form field name will be of the same meta field, location. Here I will also create two columns, and then add date field to the first one, and time field to the second column. Again, fill in their labels and the form field names. What else we can add here is a field for price. For example, you can add the same text field where the user will be able to enter the price. Although I think there will be some free events like free conferences and workshops on my website. So for that, I will add a radio block with two options, price and free, and then add one conditional block with a field block inside it. That's right, I will use this block to hide the price field when free option is selected. If you're also interested in using conditional logic in your forms, there will be a separate tutorial on our channel very soon. So don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you haven't already. And what's left is of course some field for attaching the image that will be a featured one. The heading in my case will be main event image, and the field I'm gonna add is a media field. In the block settings on the right panel, go to the field settings, and first of all let's change user access. You can set it to, for example, the file upload is allowed to the registered users only. Choose one of these four options. Insert attachment is enabled. Then field value is set to attachment ID. A bit below, you can limit, first of all, the maximum files allowed to upload, and also the maximum size. Finally, select the MIME type, which means multi-purpose internet mail extensions, or simply speaking, media types. Let it be, for example, JPEG and PNG. Okay? And the last two fields here will be a text area field for a short summary that will be used as a post excerpt. And by the way, in the field settings, I suggest you enter the minimum and the maximum length of the summary so it looks neat on the front end. By the way, I will also add a placeholder to give the users a basic idea about the summary, but it's fully optional. And one more field, but this time a WYSIWYG one for a full-on detailed description of the event. Why actually WYSIWYG? Simply because this field will allow the users to add some styled text, HTML coding, or another type of content to the form. When you're done with adding all the necessary fields, it's time to add the last one, Action button. Change the label according to the form, in my case it will be Publish Event, and it's pretty much it. By the way, don't forget to enable is required on your form fields. Now we still have this hidden field on the very top of our form. It won't be visible to the users on the front end, however it will make a difference later when it is needed to edit the same post. In the block settings, make sure to set its form field name to post ID, and under the field settings, set current post ID as a field value. Okay, and since we're done with the field, it's time to take a look at the JetForm settings. Firstly, under the form settings, we can change the submit type, page reload, or Ajax. Then I'm gonna enable reCAPTCHA. And in case you don't know how to add a reCAPTCHA to a form, you can watch our detailed video tutorial. Here comes the most important part. We need to set post-submit actions. And the first one will be insert update post. Actually, I gotta say that I will add 3 actions to this form, but just so you know, you can add more depending on your needs. However, insert update 1 is the action this form will not work without. Select it and click on Edit Action. Starting at the very top, choose the post type. In my case, it will be Events. Then we need to specify the post status, whether it's gonna be a draft, pending review, private, or it will be just published. Fields map. At the first glance, it may seem like something very complicated, although it's not at all. However, please be attentive here. That will be basically the list of fields that you added to your form. As you can see here, I have event title, organizer, format, location, and so on. So, how does fields map work? Let's say your CPT has a meta field location. To store the data and display it on the post page, it's not enough just to add a location field to your form. And that's why we need to set fields map. Basically, it will link the form field with a specific meta field. And we will skip the first one, post ID, and in a moment you will see why. Now, event title that comes second in this list is pretty easy. You just have to select post title. The rest of the fields here will be related either to the post meta if it's a meta field, or post terms for categories. Organizer, if you don't remember, is a meta field, so I will select post meta. In the field below, you have to specify the name of the meta field it has to refer to. Again, be very attentive. If there is any inconsistency in the names, it won't work properly, meaning that some data can be simply lost. The next one I have is type of event, and this is a taxonomy, that's why I will set it to post terms. And in the additional drop-down list, I will select the same one, type of event. Now repeat the same steps with the rest of your fields. Also, keep in mind that the field label can differ from the meta field name, and it's absolutely normal. What matters is the name of the meta field when you select post meta. Alright, and the last 3 fields I have here are quite general. Image field will be set to post thumbnail, summary post excerpt, and a field for the full description, post content. And that's it, and don't forget to click update. The second action will be send email. It's fully optional, but I guess it can be useful to notify an administrator that a new post is submitted. Lastly, I will add one more action, redirect to page. This way, an account page will be opened once a user hits the submit button. Of course, you're also free to choose any page if needed. Change the messages of success and submit fail under the general messages settings, and finally, publish your form. Guys, the hardest part is almost over. We created our main form for submitting the post. But we also want the users to be able to edit the post they already submitted, right? We cannot use the same form, so there will be a different one specifically for editing. And don't worry, we will not be building it from scratch. Get back to the forms and simply duplicate the form you just created. Now click on Edit, and first of all, I will change its name into Edit Event Form. Basically, it's gonna be the same form with the same field, although we need to change the post actions a bit. I will delete the Send Email action and edit Insert Update Post 1. We have this hidden field block that contains Post ID. So in the Post ID field map, we have to select the first option in the list. Post ID will update the post. And that is the reason why I skipped this field in the previous form. Update the settings. Also, you're free to remove or adjust redirect to page action if needed. Then select this hidden field. Proceed to the block settings. And in the field settings, select URL query variable instead of current post ID. A bit below, insert this key post ID. So the user clicks on the Edit Post button. This form opens, but will the user have to fill all those fields again? Of course not. JetFormBuilder has a perfect function that makes filling the form easier for the user. It is called Preset. You will find the Preset Settings section under the Post Submit actions. Let's unfold it. Once enabled, the data previously entered by the user will appear in the form automatically, so there is no need to retype it. This is actually great, especially if we are talking about some forms containing a lot of data. But to make sure that the data appears correctly in the necessary field, we have to set everything up. Let's enable it. Under the source, we have to choose where to take the data from. If it's a register form, then probably it will be user. Or if you're working with the custom content type, then you should select CCT, and in my case it will be just post. Now we have one more section, Get Post ID From. You will have different options depending on what you have selected in the source, and in my case it is current post and URL query variable. If you are also working with a post now, I suggest you use the second one and insert this query variable post ID. The reason for that is we want the form to contain the data not from any post, but from this particular one. What's more, we see here is a long list of fields. These are the same form fields that I added before. Actually, here we're creating a connection between the form field and the default or custom meta field of the post or user account. What we have to do here is just to repeat the same process that we did for the Insert Update Post Submit action. So in the Post ID, I will choose Post ID. Event title will be Post Title. Organizer in my case will be Post Meta, and so on. Let's quickly do the same thing with the rest of the fields. Guys, I will mention this again. Make sure that you enter the correct names for the post meta. These values have to be written in the same way. By the way, don't forget to change the button label, for example, into Update Post, as well as the general messages. Update everything, and now we need to insert the forms to the right template and style them. So at the very beginning we imported the presets. Some pages and templates automatically were added to the website. To find those templates, proceed to the dashboard, Templates, and we need to edit Add Post 1. I styled this page a bit. added a heading that says My Account, and also customized the profile menu so it better suits my website's theme. I hope it's not confusing that I have some menu items here, and you probably have something different, but these are the subpages from the Account Page section of the User Profile Builder settings. The right column is where our form will be placed. Find the JetForm widget and drag it. In the form settings, select the form for submitting the post. And now it's time to style it. Open the Style tab and customize the form according to your preferences, including the button. Great! On the front end, it's gonna look like this. And by the way, as you can see, the user will be able to open the form once he clicks on the Create Event button that I placed in the header. It's really easy to do. Just add a button anywhere on your website and insert the Add Post Page URL to the button link field. Okay, we're done with the main form for submitting the post. However, there is one more form for editing. Obviously, we won't place the second form to this template, so let's go back to the template. Find the Edit Post template and click on Edit with Elementor. The same process here. Add JetForm widget. Select the second form for editing the posts. And to make it easier, you can copy the style of the first form and update the template. Now, let's say I submitted a post. How and where can I see the data I put to the form on the front end? Everything will be displayed in a listing. If you proceed to the dashboard, JetEngine, Listings, you will see that now you have a user post item listing that was created when we imported the presets. Before you start building a listing template, go to the listing settings. By default, it is set to Posts, so I'm gonna select here my CPT event. However, if you work with CCT or users, make sure to change the listing source as well. I will update it and refresh the page as I already added a post so you can see what I'm actually doing here. Okay, it pulled some data like post image and title. Don't worry if you cannot see anything here. It just means that you have no posts for now, so the widget cannot pull any data. This listing has some pre-made section and a couple of dynamic widgets like dynamic image and dynamic field. I will delete this Edit Post button for now. And by the way, if you're creating the listing template for the first time, I suggest you take a closer look at our detailed tutorial. In that video, I was showing everything in Gutenberg, although you can use the same approach in Elementor. You can leave the default elements or add more according to your needs. I will add a dynamic widget to pull the format of the event, then its location, of course, date and time, and also this listing will display price and a short summary. And on the account page, the user will see a list of the submitted events with the same structure. This is how it looks after I styled it. As a finishing touch, the only thing that is missing here is the Edit Post button. I'm gonna add Dynamic Link widget. Then in the Content tab, select a source profile page. And in the Profile page drop-down menu, choose Edit Post. Now enable Add Query Arguments. In order to make this link work properly, you need to enter the following argument where post ID is the same key we put in the forms preset, and also there comes the macros current ID that returns the current post ID. Now, of course, let's change the label into Edit. Then you can also add some icon, style the button, and adjust its position. If you want to spice the things up, you can also enable dynamic visibility for some elements. For example, I used it for the location field as I have two formats of the event, in person and live online. The second option doesn't need any address to be inserted, so the location will be hidden. The same approach I applied to the price. Now I need just a couple of minutes of your attention, and then we will finally check the front end. Firstly, let's update this listing. The thing is, we created just a listing template, and this template will be displayed in the listing grid. For that, we need to go back to the account template, find the user post template and edit it. Make sure that it looks exactly the same as the rest of the templates, and right now, instead of forms, we will apply a listing grid widget. In the General tab under the listing, select User Post item. There we go. Change the number of columns and posts. And also adjust the gap in the Style tab. Alright, we're done. To show you how it looks and actually how everything works, let me proceed to my website. I will click on the Create Event button, and here is my form. I will fill it in quickly. And by the way, as you can see, the conditional logic works just perfect here. Whenever I choose in-person format, the location field is available, and once I select Live Online, it stays hidden. The form is filled, and now I'm gonna publish the event. So a redirection works fine, and now we're on the account page. Here is a listing grid, and by the way, dynamic visibility works great, so yoga training has a location. However, festive decorations workshop does not, because it will be online. Let me add one more event. Okay, now let's try to edit this post. By the way, at the bottom you can see a URL that looks like this. So it has my domain name, account, then edit post, and here goes the same query argument we put before, post ID key and the ID of the current post. If I hover on the other edit post link, you will notice that it has a different post ID, meaning that you might have hundreds of posts with the same query argument, but it will always edit only the current post. Once I click on Edit, you will see that the form already has all the necessary information, so there is no need to fill the fields all over again. I will make it free and also change its date and time. Now I'm gonna click Update, and the changes have been applied successfully. Now this event is free, and also there is a new date and time. Now if I go to the dashboard, then my CPT event, edit, let's say this post, you can see that it contains the data I submitted previously on the front end. The format is selected, also the category and tag are chosen. The post has a thumbnail, and there is also an excerpt. As a finishing touch, let me check my email, and here is a new notification that says, hey, a new event was just added. Check it out. So guys, we built a form. We set up all the necessary settings. The post-submit actions work perfectly as well as the form itself, so I think this might be it for this tutorial. I know it was a long one, however, I really hope you enjoyed it and it was useful. If there are any questions, don't hesitate to leave your comments down below. Also, check the links in the description. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one.